The tyrax are a reptilian race. Unlike most reptiles in video games, they're actually very intelligent. They're one of the most intelligent races we have. They're very fascinated by technology and magic and how the two work together. And they're one of the big driving forces behind innovation. They make airships, machinery, weaponry, and so on. Technology within Thanatos uses magic to a heavy degree. They fuel things with magic, and magic and technology works hand in hand. And the tyrax are the pioneers of this. They love inventing things just for the sake of inventing. They make machines for the most mundane tasks. This shines through the way they play, the way they build their houses, the way they make weapons. Once we have a foundation we know everyone's happy with, then we drill in a bit more about the backstory of Jax himself, the race as a whole, and how we envisage him. And we kind of have a few little things that we want to be hit within that design. Like we want to keep the mechanical aspect in there. We want a certain style of appearance. But after that we hand over to the concept artist to do more of a fleshing out of that idea.
The written brief that I got from the designers on the tyrax was really exciting. And that acted as a framework to base the visual designs of the tyrax off from. I drew a lot of inspiration from real-world reptiles, including dinosaurs, but also not excluding things like fantasy reptiles like dragons, and then taking all those together and fusing them with a humanoid to make a walking, talking lizard man.
Jax is a relatively young tyrax. He has grown up in a place called Dugout, where he's been training to be an engineer and inventor. But as the war against the Umbron broke out, he started taking part in that. He was initially a scout, but he showed a lot of promise. He took on a lot of initiative and took on his own missions. And some of the story around this is how the Lightseekers came to notice him.
For the design of Jax himself, I drew inspiration from a lot of my personal favourites. He's got a lot of Komodo dragon in his face. He's got the crest of a triceratops, the tail of an alligator. But apart from that, the other tyrax can be all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Some are big, round, amphibious, like toad people. You've got huge T-Rex style characters. The beauty of the tyrax is the reptiles, there's so much scope to play with. My process starts with some very quick, very loose sketches that explore into body types, size, shape, maybe even colour. The next step after that were more refined paintings based on what the team felt like was the best direction, and that would ultimately turn into the final concept for the tyrax and Jax, which would be fully coloured, fully rendered and ready to go into production.
I see like Tom's initial sketches, and as he's trying to flesh out the ideas, and I'm already like looking over his shoulder, getting excited about that, thinking this kind of stuff is cool for like me to sculpt and models. I normally start with a sphere in ZBrush and just start pushing and pulling, getting the shapes out, the proportions right to where I think is the same as the concept. Sometimes when you see the model of 3D space and you can spin around it, it opens up new questions. Maybe if we adjusted the proportions slightly differently to what they are in the concept to make him feel that he's got a bit more of a presence, things like that.
We were pushed into areas where we had to make him a lot bigger and broader than we wanted. He has so much technology under the surface, you have to fit that all in, and there has to be so much clearance between the articulation points and the components inside. But actually the beauty of that is he ended up looking way more awesome than we set out to.
Jax's playstyle is inspired heavily by the tyrax as a whole, in the way that they make crazy inventions, not necessarily the safest inventions. There's a bit of malfunctioning, a bit of side effects. He's of the tech order, which means that he specializes within explosives, mechanical and time categories. His main arsenal abilities coming from explosives, so yeah, straight up bombs, placing mines, some more random things like a bomb that bounces between enemies randomly, but he's also dabbling in mechanical and time abilities, so he can freeze time or fast forward time.
We knew that the action figures were going to look great with the amount of talented people behind them, but when we finally saw them, they exceeded all our expectations. They looked phenomenal, and we were all so proud of it.